The next question here is going back to an old but good. Beaver Hill says, how good of a litmus test is the in-state 2025 cycle for Penn State being able to continue to dominate the state? Fitz, Penn State, are they in a good position where some of the guys in the upcoming class, just from a broad view of what you've seen and what you've heard?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're going to get Zahir Mathis. Well, sorry, Zahir Mathis committed to
Yeah.
Ohio State this week.
There's a reason this question, I think, came to right now, Sean. Go ahead.
Right. Sorry. I didn't have the rankings up in front of me. And that's why I'm trying to filibuster here before I get there. So thank you for that. No, I think it'll be good. I have a tough time putting stock into much 2025 right now, just because it's so early. Junior tape just came out, and we're still sort of getting our footing in terms of where the guys are going to go. I mean, you look at where Penn State stands in this class. You know, Alex Tash is a good example of a guy that's probably going to just continue to rise. Cam Smith's out there. Matt Zoller is a guy that's been, on Penn State's radar for a long time, even though they have a quarterback in this class. That's interesting. Lex Cyrus went down to San Antonio, had a good showing there, and he's got the verified numbers that those the schools love in terms of being a sprinter. So yeah, I think they'll be okay. You got some battles to fight. Michael Carroll, is a legacy prospect, but Michigan's high there. The guys at St. Joseph Prep, Maxwell Roy and Anthony Sacca in general, like, are you going to be in it till the end with those guys? And can you get that over the line? So I think that those are the guys that really move the needle for me so far, but you're going to find some guys that move up. You're going to find some guys that move down. I think Tyke Hayes had a really good year. I think he can continue to move up. The running back from Aliquippa that's committed to Penn State. And yeah, we're going to see where some of these other things land, but extremely, I think I said this in December, cannot stress enough how extremely early you look at some of the guys that ended up in Penn State's class and last year. And Luke Reynolds I don't think had an offer at this point. Malachi Williams, I didn't even know who it was at this point last year. He popped up for a junior day visit, and we didn't think anything of it. So there's going to be a lot of guys that continue to pop up. These early rankings are fine for what they're worth, but you got to take them for what they're worth. So that's kind of where I'm at with 2025. Penn State has positioned themselves well with Terry in Western Pennsylvania, with Dion in Eastern Pennsylvania. You're going to look at Zahir Mathis and say he's not coming here, but we looked at you a couple months ago and said he's not coming here too. I don't think things have changed there.
So, Ryan, I guess that is kind of the conversation here, and Fitz has laid out the number and the volume of high-quality players in Pennsylvania that Penn State has recruited, and if you look at other regional schools, Penn State does get the majority of the players from their own state to come to this institution, but guys like Zahir Mathis, other of those top-of-the-top national recruits do not come to Penn State on a regular basis. So
yeah, they've landed quite a few top 100 prospects in PA, though. I mean, the Philly area, they've missed out on some guys.
I'm talking about the perception of those 5-star guys or those guys that become Alabama recruits, kind of those particular.
Penn State doesn't do well with guys that are really big time early. And a lot of these guys come from schools where Imhotep and White was the same way a couple years ago. When they get big time early, Penn State doesn't have a ton of success there. I think Fleming might be an example of that as well. But when these big schools start calling and you start hearing that you're bigger than Penn State, you start to believe it. And I think that's what they've had to come up against in past cycles.
And I think that's the perception that kind of ignited the question, Ryan. I guess is where I was trying to get in. Not trying to say that Penn State doesn't get a Nick Singleton or doesn't get a Quentin Martin, but they don't land all of them. Of the dominate the state means every single recruit you want, you get from your state. So I guess, is that it? What's the fair barometer of that?
Yeah, I mean, the guys they don't usually land are the top Philly guys. I mean, that's usually just kind of it. I mean, outside of that, they've pretty much have done what they need to do. I mean, circling back to
the work they've done in Western Pennsylvania is just
great.
It's unbelievable. And now the talent is not what it used to be. And, those guys are more few and far between. And there's a lot of guys that they offer early that end up falling off that really aren't targets by the time that they end up picking a school. But they've done a great job. Terry and some other guys have done a great job just planting the flag there and going with it. And Quentin Martin was one of the national. There's not a ton of national recruits coming out of there anymore. More so on the eastern side of the state than the western side. Now, I think that the western guys have maybe panned out a little bit better. But that's a discussion for another day. Right. But that's kind of where Penn State has sort of planted its flag and gone with it. And it coincides with Pitt I don't want to say de-emphasizing the area, but like not pulling that extra kid. And we talk about Mike Loxley doing it with Maryland. We used to talk about it with Paris Ford and DeMar Hamlin and guys like that in Pittsburgh, and it's just not happening anymore. So Penn State's done a really nice job of adjusting and going from there.
I think that's a really good point to bring up. That balance of the guys that are national headline news, like you said, and then how well they've been doing everywhere else.